All right, click the links, join channel, check out the subscribe star. I can't scroll down and show you the videos because they're politically incorrect, but you can check them out for $2 a month. I also wanted to take a look at this project by this guy Shad, who does videos on Odyssey. He does YouTube too, but I actually discover a lot of videos on Odyssey because they come up in the auto playlist. Like I found myself listening to that Star Wars girl video the other day. I forgot how funny that chick is. And then I was listening to this guy, and he's talking about how stupid the armor is in Rings of Power. Like he's going through why, you got to be able to raise your arms over your head, and a chess piece can't do it. Anyway, but he's got his own comic book, which actually looks really good. But more importantly, he's got Mr. Mike Miller doing the art, and of course, Mike is a fantastic artist for the little hobbit that he is. He is just a great, really likes boobs. I respect that. Both him and Ethan are very good at drawing women. It's her cup overflowed, vampire chick. So you can check out his work here. This is from 30 years ago. Still looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to get my P.O. box back, and then that way I can literally beg for free books. That's one of the perks of being on the internet, is you beg for free stuff and people mail it to you. It's kind of nice. I figure you should get some perks for making YouTube videos. So this is Rings of Power, and this collection of images sums it up pretty well. And if you like Lord of the Rings, you want to like Rings of Power. And so what I was thinking they could do was, with some graphic artist did with Little Mermaid, the 1831 story by, I think, Hans Christian Andersen, was he went and he corrected the graphics so that the characters looked more in keeping with the artist's original vision, a red-haired, blue or green-eyed European girl, and it looked fantastic. And with technology now, you could do that. So the thing to do for Rings of Power is to go through and do the same thing for this, and correct these kind of characters to bring them more in line with the artist's original vision. I mean, these are like, all this is based on European folklore and European mythology. So with with a pretty sweet computer setup, I think you could probably go through here and just correct all these mistakes and make them more keeping like Lord of the Rings should look. I'm sure that would go over well with no conflict whatsoever. People would probably be respectful and glad to see it return to the artist's original vision. I'm sure that's how well that would go. All you have to do is simply make this guy blonde hair, blue eyed, somebody who looks like Northern European stock, so it would fit better. Now, I think people would kind of want to see that. It's weird that Hollywood decided to go this route instead of being accurate and respectful to the artist. It's almost as if it's some part of this weird humiliation ritual where nothing that people from your lineage have done has any value. In fact, it's so valueless that it can easily be erased, at least digitally. Weird. Anyway, so Rings of Power, episode 4, you get a lecture on immigration, about elves stealing jobs, which actually happened at the same time. You've been following the news that Martha's Vineyard deported their immigrants. Immigrants are welcome for the photo op. Now get on the bus, Pedro, and go somewhere else. So it's kind of hard to take a lot of this stuff where Hollywood, in mansions, in gated communities, in safe communities with armed guards, totally insulated by wealth. Give us a lecture that we need diversity, but just not in their neighborhood. That actually happened in Rings of Power 4. I think she was described in the Silmarillion as fair, light eyes, light hair, fair skin, fair, light, and beautiful. So if a graphic artist could just go through and fix this, that would be great. I'd like to see her preferably blonde hair, blue-eyed, which would make a lot more sense. Or whatever, but like someone from Europe as the story intended. Things are getting weird. So it's hard to take where Hollywood, Hollywood tends to lecture us on on things that they seem to not actually believe in, as you literally just saw from 2 days ago with the Martha's Vineyard. It's like, that's not 2 days old, and this thing came out 2 days before that. It's like, what perfect timing. Giving us a lecture on it was in Rings of Power 4. The guy gives a lecture on opening the borders to their little island, while Obama's backyard literally refused to take 50 people because they didn't have any room. It's like, well, they actually do have quite a bit of room on Martha's Vineyard. There's plenty of hotels and empty vacation houses they could just use for those 50 migrants. No, they actually called the National Guard to move them into less wealthy neighborhoods for people who can't call the National Guard. Must be nice to have that level of wealth and power. So the timing of episode 4 and the Martha's Vineyard situation, it really just couldn't be better. These people are just so hard to take, and that's putting it mildly, so I don't have to remake this video. So on one hand, you've got Rings of Power, who does the standard South Park lecture, while Martha's Vineyard shows us how these people really feel. Yeah, this is exactly what the author intended. Growing up, the story based on his small English village, about him and the experiences growing up in a time before TV or even probably electrical power for most of the villages, or radios or phones, and then going off to World War One. Yeah, this is precisely what he envisioned. A woman not of his of everything that went in to make him and make his story. She has no part of that. She's 5,000 miles away. Her tribe is 5,000 miles away. She's no part of his story. You're not istophobic if you say what I'm saying. It's okay to tell these people to go F themselves, because they hate you. They hate you with such an incandescent passion. And I only say this because the image on screen, they're erasing you, your culture, and your stories because they don't value them. They're only propaganda to them. They have value. You and your ancestors and the stories from even 100 years ago hold no value other than to be a vehicle for propaganda. There's a lot more to say on that, but it's really hard to make it past and get the thing monetized. Otherwise, the videos sit in monetization limbo for where they don't get monetized, which isn't a big deal. It's just that it means that they don't like it, so I don't publish the video. And then if it gets approved a week later, it's like, well, what's the point? It's just on Odyssey and Bit Chute by that time, so it just kind of sits there forever. So in the episode, the guy is saying how elves destroy though I suspect I've already said too much for this video. He says the elves destroy the fabric of their society. Which, hey, he's probably got a valid point. If it were me, I'd put a few of the heads up on stakes as a Vlad-style warning to the other elves, and, it would send a good message. It send a very clear message, make for a much darker Lord of the Rings. So Hollywood makes this cringe and doesn't realize, like, we're rooting for the opposite side. We're rooting for the side who opposes cultural Marxists and wants to go Vlad on them, too. Like, if the original Star Wars Disney came out today, I think way more people would be rooting for Vader and the Empire. Hashtag Vader did nothing objectionable. So no, this is not Lord of the Rings. Even the very first episode has 3, I think, fair-skinned elves, though it's a mixed tribe now, but not when it's time to portray things negatively. Then so longer the non-Euro elf. They are not there when it's time to portray people as cruel, malicious, and stupid. It's only the fair-skinned elves who act like savage, cruel animals and sink a boat. Because that's not the portrayal that Tolkien set. That's not the spirit he set of his books. That's not what the prior movies set, where they were much closer to the books, and that's not what the audience wants to see. It's like, that set the tone right from the first 5 minutes. That I saw that and I go, before you watch any of these movies, you can go, let me guess, anything fair skin, light eyes, light hair is going to be portrayed in a negative manner, and dark skin, dark eyes, dark hair is going to be portrayed in a positive manner. Oh, you couldn't possibly know that. Yeah, yes, I could, because I'm a human capable of pattern recognition, and I've seen 100 of these things before and read the comics and all this other kind of nonsense. It's like, yeah, I've seen this repeated, and that was literally the first 5 minutes. Somebody made a joke about the the Wakanda movie that came out. He told you before it came out, he had a guess on what the theme would be the first 10 minutes, and as it turned out, he was correct. You could probably guess what the theme was. So they repeat that theme several times throughout all 4 episodes. The Afro elves and hobbits are kind and wise, and the Euro ones, if they have to portray somebody stupid, malicious, and cruel, it's going to be the fair skin, and it's usually going to be the blonde-haired people. There's a scene in the bar where a blonde human is just being stupid and dirty and cruel to the wise Afro elf, who has to be the wise one. I mean, it was weird because, again, Tolkien wrote the story about his European experience, and he's obviously an Englishman, so kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. Does Hollywood think that we really don't see what's going on? Because I every once in a while I dip into Twitter, and even though they go see more replies, people on Twitter are waking up to what is going on. It's delightful to see. So episodes 1 to 3 are so bad that they might be crossing over into the good territory. Though I would like to see them digitally correct these mistakes. Did you just call them mistakes? Yes, I did. Clearly this is a mistake, but I also know that the people who would object to it are not watching these videos. But episode 4 is unwatchably bad. Like within the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes, lectures from Hollywood, from the the mansion gated communities living in it. They may not live in lily white areas, but they're living in areas that are insulated by wealth, who give us a lecture in the first 5 minutes of Rings 4 about the standard globalist cultural Marxist point du jour of the day. But before I forget, let's take a look at the elves. Okay, now I actually didn't notice this myself, that they're portrayed much lighter countenanced and lighter costuming, as you can see by the top piece, where the original elves were much darker as per the story and per the original movies. So this is a change that doesn't make sense. And actually, I mean, a few other people pointed this out, but I viewed this and I interpreted this in my mind still as dark, because like that's how the story refers to them. But I mean, with shades of gray, it's like you can interpret it either way you want. Is it dark or is it light? And obviously, now that I look on it a little bit closer and compare it to the original portrayal from 20 years ago, it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. I mean, you guys are like going directly opposite what the book said and what the original movies followed. It's like they set the tone. It's weird how you're going against that. What are you guys saying here? Like, obviously, come on. I mean, come on, guys. You know what they're right. I mean, you got to know what's going on. What color are his eyes? I can't see what color his eyes are. It's too dark. But I mean, that would just be the cherry on top if you made them like blue eyes. Here they actually do look vaguely blue. Which is, I mean, why not just pull them out of Nordic central casting if that's where you're going with it? Like, now that I think about it, yeah, the original elves did look a little bit different, because it has nothing to do, like when people say dark is going to be portrayed one way, it has nothing to do with humans. It has to do with the nighttime. Because humans have always been cautious. They feared the night. They've been cautious about the night because humans are not night creatures. They don't have vision for night vision. They're day creatures. The sun or the moon, full moon, gives them a little bit of ability at night. But the dark just represents the night. It doesn't represent people, because most of human mythology, or European mythology, which is, for most of human history, is the only thing that matters because they wrote it down when other groups didn't. Which I know how harsh that sounds. It's like the reality is not harsh. It's like if you have people who can write stuff down, there's going to be a continuity, a continuance to the stories. They're going to be able to extrapolate and build on them and tell you their history. Where if it's all oral, it's just impossible to do. So dark represents nighttime, predators, sneak attacks. It doesn't represent people, because for most of these stories, there were no dark people anywhere around these people who were creating these stories, and not in sufficient numbers that they were associated with anything negative. I mean, the raiding parties for a lot of Europe would have been coming from the north, would have been, red-haired, blonde-haired guys. It's like dark just means night. That's why you portray things as an antagonist as dark, and people nowadays with the cultural Marxists controlling the narrative portray it as go, oh no, that means people. It's like, no, I just explained it to you. I gave you a very rational, reasonable argument to explain the theory about humans, evolution, and the nighttime, and how it figured in stories like that. My explanation is correct. They're globalists. They're cultural Marxists. They're evil people. They're lying. They're lying the whole time. I know this because you can. I mean, please go if you want to. Like, if you want a lesson in this, go watch the first 4 episodes. I don't think you're going to get through number 4, but you can like 1 to 3 are probably watchable. But watch it. You go online and watch it. I mean, pay for it, of course. Don't go to Solar or 123 or anything. Go to wherever you lawfully pay for this. I don't know who. Amazon, I think. I mean, that's where I got it. I didn't just and take note of the first 3 episodes, and you'll learn quite a bit. I don't think you'll be able to get through number 4. That's how bad it is. If you can, we can get through it together and we can talk about these stuff. It's worse than I made it sound, because I have to stay within the navigational guidelines for Google Tube. And did I say anything too much? Did I say anything too many hot words, colors, and descriptions? I don't know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check me out, subscribe star, where I'm putting the stuff that isn't allowed anywhere else. And I'll see you guys next episode.